going in for the kill, and Foley from his knees counters with a kick to the fork of the body. Hi guys, welcome to Fighting Words, the martial arts library. On this channel I review martial arts books and talk about martial arts related subjects. This is a segment I call Media Fight Mondays. So on the first and third Monday of every month, I pick a fight scene from movies, television, animation, and so on, and I break down the action, then I grade it based on realism and storytelling value. Since this video was going to come out on April 1st, my first inclination was to actually do something kind of humorous for April Fool's Day, but I didn't have anything really solid planned. And then I heard of the unfortunate passing of Mr. Louis Gossett Jr. I remember watching a bunch of his movies when I was growing up. In addition to An Officer and a Gentleman, I remember Iron Eagle, Enemy Mine, Diggstown, which I actually rewatched a few years ago. So as sort of a tribute to his acting and some of the roles he brought to life, I'm going to be breaking down this fight scene from An Officer and a Gentleman. I've kind of been wanting to do this one for a while anyway. As far as the background of the sort of behind the scenes stuff, there were things I wasn't able to find. I couldn't find a fight choreographer. The stunt coordinator was Jason Randall, but it's difficult to tell if he was involved in this at all. Richard Gere, in some of his interviews, has mentioned that they both trained karate, and it sounds like they sort of practiced together, so maybe that's how it came together. I wasn't able to find out who they trained with, and it may have been different people. One thing I was able to find out was that one day on set, while they were going through their fight, Richard Gere kicked Louis Gossett Jr. in the groin. Mr. Gossett, as you might imagine, was upset about that and walked off a set for a couple of days. Which, I get it. Now, as far as the setup to the scene goes, Richard Gere is playing Mayo, who is a candidate for flight officer school, and Louis Gossett Jr. is playing Gunnery Sgt. Foley, who's been his drill instructor this whole time. Mayo is pretty much at the end of his rope. He has confessed earlier in the movie he doesn't really have any prospects in the civilian world. As this scene occurs, he has broken up with his love interest. He has found the body of his close friend from this program, and he wants to quit. He wants to quit, and Foley ostensibly doesn't like him interrupting what's going on in order to try to quit. So they're going to have it out in this blimp hangar, where in a previous scene we have seen Foley exhibit his own hand-to-hand combat skills. So we had a front kick, then a round kick, and a spinning wheel kick by Mayo, who has learned martial arts in the past. This is the first time Foley has been exposed to this. He sort of begrudgingly acknowledges that, yeah, he knows some stuff. And he is rewarded by this observation with an outside crescent kick. Spinning outside crescent kick, if we're being proper here. So we get a skipping side kick from Mayo. Foley caught it, countered with a foot sweep, then looked like he actually kicked him while he was on the ground, and Mayo was able to get him down with a scissor hold on the leg, what we in pro wrestling would call a drop toe hold. But basically he blocked the front of his ankle with one leg and kicked the back of his knee with the other, which collapsed the leg, which brought him face down. It's a jab, two jabs. Now sometimes when it's coming from a lower position below the eye line, a jab can be a little bit more difficult to detect. The thing is, I thought he hit him more in the side of the head. They're going to play it up as this is, he popped him in the nose a couple of times, because he's bleeding from his nose. Nice. So this time, Mayo was sort of ready for the incoming jab. He blocked that, and Foley used that to get an attachment onto Mayo's arm, followed with a lead round kick to the body, and then it looked like an inside crescent kick to the back of Mayo's neck and head area. If you do get popped there, especially he was squared up, so the force hit him directly from behind, which is why he fell face first. So we got a hook to the body, punch to the head. Mayo countered with a straight to the head, and then looked like 2 round kicks to the body. I don't know if that would have caused Foley to fall in the way that he is, but that was how they decided to play that. So that's actually the longest exchange that we've seen. So hook to the body, punch to the head, straight to the head, and 2 lead leg round kicks. So here we see Foley has gone for straight punch, although you can see when I got it paused, he's not really making a closed fist. But Mayo has grabbed that, used it to attach to him, and gave him a round kick to the body. 2, followed by it's really a spinning side kick rather than a spinning back kick. Spinning back kick is usually used to describe that move. It's probably one of the most powerful standing kicks you can do, in other words, something that doesn't have a whole lot of momentum from a jump. You've got the turning of the body plus a thrusting motion of some of the largest muscles in the human body. It's going in for the kill, and Foley from his knees counters with a kick to the fork of the body, right in between the legs. Okay, as far as realism goes, they mostly kept it real. Again, I think sometimes they sort of overplayed the effects of some of those shots, and I think they kept their arms hanging out there for too long in some cases. But everything they did was completely realistic, and you had the actual actors doing it. Richard Gere actually had a pretty strong athletic background growing up. He actually had a gymnastics scholarship, so it doesn't really surprise me that he was able to pull off some of these moves without looking sloppy. You know, neither one of them are like lifelong martial artists, so they don't have necessarily that smoothness and control that you might see, but I do think that they acquitted themselves pretty well. So yeah, as far as realism goes, I'm going to say a B+. Again, I have my critiques, things that you really wouldn't find in a fight, just like throwing a straight punch and leaving it hanging out there. Other than that, again, every move they did was realistic, with the possible exception of like grabbing onto the guy's arm and like him not doing anything about that grab while you decided to kick him. But yeah, overall, B+. As far as the storytelling goes, in the context of the movie as a whole, this is a great moment, and I would encourage anyone to watch this movie for the context of this fight. Mayo's trying to quit. Foley has been hard on him the whole time, but he has also not washed him out. It's very apparent that he wants Mayo to prove how much he deserves to be here. He's giving him the opportunity to, instead of being sort of a trash bag human being. And that all sort of culminates in this fight here. It's the first time Mayo actually gets to literally strike back against Gunnery Sgt. Foley. And even though Foley is clearly better, there are moments when Mayo does get his shots in. You know, he's able to drop Foley a couple of times. However, in the context of what we see from proverbial bell to bell itself, that's what I'm sort of judging it on. And I would say that we do get to see a bit of a story being told with the fight. We get to see, as I mentioned, Mayo gets his shots in, although Foley starts off just like dodging everything. You know, he's sort of hit with a sucker's kick, and then he's able to counter the next immediate move, and he's the one that drops Mayo. However, Mayo does come back and drop Foley, and actually had him at a disadvantage before he went in for, you know, his big strike. So in the fight, we are seeing the story of a guy who's very angry, and that's making him a little bit ruthless in some ways. You know, he is getting his licks in, but also, I would say largely because of the emotional baggage he's bringing. he is not as controlled as he could be, and that, in addition to his presumably superior experience, is what gives Foley the edge in the fight. I'm going to give it a C+. I think there were things that we could have gotten if we were looking for the story to be told, again, from the start to the end of the action. But if I were to grade it in the context of the entire movie, this is a very pivotal point. So that's all I have for this week. Once again, Media Fight Monday comes out on the first and third Mondays of every month. I want to thank you guys for following along with me. If you would like to help support the channel, or if you have a request for a fight you'd like me to break down, please consider donating to my Ko-fi account. I'm going to put a link to that in the description. And once again, let's acknowledge Louis Gossett Jr. on his long and storied career and all the characters that he brought to life. That's all I have. See you guys around.